First things first, the Mountain Man. Faith will move mountains. Dashrath Manjhi. Dashrath Manjhi, known to the whole world by the name of the Mountain Man, showed all of humanity that the will and desire to carry out their mission can overcome absolutely any obstacles. This is the person who was able to challenge the enormous rock and conquer it. Dashrath Manjhi was born in 1934 to a poor Indian family who lived in the village of Galore. It was a poor village in which people from the lower castes lived. The village was cut off from civilization by nature. The direct way to the nearest city was blocked by mountains, so people were forced to drive 75 kilometers whenever they needed to get to the market, hospital, or work. The large mountain that stood between the village and civilization was dangerous and steep, but many villagers risked their lives and used the dangerous path over the rock to try to shorten the way. Everyone walked along the dangerous mountain path, even children, because the school was also in a neighboring village. People have applied to the Bihar state government over and over again, but the authorities have not begun to build any roads. So, cut off from civilization and almost cut off from life, the inhabitants of the village of Dashratha Manjhi lived for several generations, isolated from the world. One day, Dashratha was working in the fields on the other side of the mountain. His beloved wife brought him some food, but while climbing the path, she stumbled and fell, receiving serious injuries. She urgently needed medical help, but the nearest hospital was 75 kilometers away, and the woman sadly passed away without receiving any treatment. The unfortunate Dashrath then decided that no one else in his village should die without receiving medical assistance. If no one wants to turn to face the inhabitants of a poor village, he will have to take up this mission of destroying the barrier that separates people and civilization. He was 26 years old at that time. Dashrath took a hammer, chisel, and other simple tools with him and went to the mountain. He decided to manually cut through the mountain to shorten the road to the city by tens of kilometers, so people would not have to climb a steep slope every time they needed to get to the market, school, or hospital. The locals were very skeptical about Dashrath's undertaking. The mountain was too big, and the man was too small and weak. They laughed at him because entire generations could do nothing but climb the mountain on a dangerous path. What can one man with a hammer do against a huge mountain? They said. But Dashrath did not give up. Day after day, night after night, he continued to hammer the rock. Soon, the most kind-hearted neighbors began to help him. Someone brought food and water, and someone came armed with tools and worked side by side with Dashrath. Though nobody, even Dashrath's family, really believed in this venture, every morning Dashrath took his tools and hammered the mountain, regardless of what people thought. Despite everything, the matter was moving. The hole in the mountain became deeper and deeper. He began his work in 1960, and only 22 years later, in 1982, the mountain had been conquered, and Dashrath Manjhi came out on the other side of it. It was a huge job. The passage was an incredible 110 meters long, 9.1 meters wide, and 7.6 meters deep, and was ready to walk through. Now the distance to the nearest large settlement is 1 kilometer, instead of the previous 75. The inhabitants of the surrounding villages called Dashrath Manjhi the Mountain Man. The inhabitants of 60 neighboring villages also began to use this road, and every time they passed through the tunnel cut by Manjhi, they thanked his persistence. Although the whole of India heard about him, during his lifetime Dashrath did not receive any encouragement from the government. Only after he died in 2007 did the state authority agree to pay for his funeral. He did not see the new asphalt road, which after his death was made through a tunnel that he had been hammering for 22 years. Now, near the road, there is a monument to this simple hero from the lower caste, who dedicated his work to the people. It was said about Dashrath that he managed to move the mountain alone, and he did this not for himself at all. So, the only goal that this amazing Indian pursued was to help people. Dashratha Manjhi is remembered and will be remembered by all the surrounding residents, and the story of a man who managed to move a mountain will be carefully passed down from generation to generation. Yet, the whole world will watch a film based on his history and be inspired by his feat.